Constructicons form Devastator, the most powerful robot. We should rule. Constructicons, merge for the kill!
Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and welcome to part 3 of our 7-part Transformers Studio Series Constructicon series. And in this series, we are going to be going over the brand new Constructicons that Hasbro has put out in the Studio Series, and we haven't got some awesome Constructicons like this since Combiner Wars. Now, this is part 3 of our series. In the first 2 parts, we dealt with Scrapper and Bone Crusher, and tonight we are going to be taking a look at this huge 2-pack of Hook and Long Haul, but we are going to focus on Hook because I'm going to take my time and we're going to do 1 Constructicon per video. So, taking a look at the huge box that Hook and Long Haul come packaged in, you have more than meets the eye here, 3 of 5. You have 17 steps conversion, and I'm assuming that is for Hook because over here on Long Haul he has a 19-step conversion graphic. So you have 8+, you have Transformers, you have Studio Series, the Transformers the movie, Constructicon Hook, and Constructicon Long Haul, and Hasbro. On the top of the packaging, you have the Transformers the movie logo, Constructicon Hook, and Constructicon Long Haul, and Takara Tomy. On the left side of the packaging, you have a beautiful picture of Devastator that's on all of the packaging so far. You have 3 of 5 Devastator, Transformers Studio Series, and Transformers the movie. Coming around to the other side of the packaging, you have a nice picture of Hook and Long Haul in their vehicle modes. You have a nice Autobot symbol, which should be Decepticon, but I'm not getting into that. You have Transformers Studio Series and Transformers the movie. Next, coming to the bottom of the packaging, you have some credits for the box and a nice barcode. I will zoom in on that. If you are looking for this, it should be on the shelves right now, and that barcode may help you find it. And finally, coming around to the back of the packaging, you have some beautiful product shots. You have a nice animation cell up here of Devastator whooping up the Dinobots. You have some nice read-ups of both of the Constructicons. I will zoom in and focus so you could read that to your heart's content, but we must be moving onward and outward. And down on the bottom of the back of the box, you have some product shots of Hook in his robot mode and in his vehicle mode, and then you have Long Haul in his vehicle mode and in his robot mode, and on the bottom you have some more credits for the box. And that is it for the packaging, and I don't want to see Hook in the packaging. I can't see Hook in the packaging anyway, so let's go ahead and get him out and see if he's actually in there. And before we can get started with the review, there is a bit of assembly required right out of the box. And basically you'll take Hook's crane section and plug it into the back of his vehicle mode like that. And that is good. That is ready to go. I don't know why they couldn't have assembled that in the box. I guess it may have made the figure stand up too tall, but it is there. That's what you need to do to get the review started, and we are almost ready to go. One other thing I did want to talk about is in this box set you do get a Devastator specific set of instructions. We're not going to be looking at this because this is solely for Devastator, so at the end of the review, probably part 7, we will pull this out and make use of it. But in case you were wondering, this does come in the box with Hook and Long Haul. Alright, now, with Hook fully assembled, let's get this review started. And here we have Hook out of the box, and out of the box he comes packaged in his vehicle mode. So we will be taking a look at the crane mode first because I always like to review them, how they come out of the box. In the box with him, he has a nice set of instructions that will help you transform him to a crane and to a robot. It is shared instructions with Long Haul, as you would expect. He also comes with his laser rifle, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But first off, I want to take a look at this far-reaching Constructicon himself. taking a look at Hook in his crane mode, which is kind of odd because I'm used to doing it robot mode. I feel like it's starting the video off backwards, but this was how he was packed, and I always want to show how he's packed and then transform him from there because it helps you guys out a little more, I think. So, taking a look at him, he has a nice base green color and got some nice purple highlights for some windows at the front here, and I like that. Coming to the front, you do have some headlights picked out in silver. That is cool. Coming to the side, you got a nice paneling right here of that diamond panel that you see in construction vehicles. That is cool. And you got some nice wheels. You got 6 of them, and they're plasticky and they roll really good. Nice little platform over here. Some more of that diamond paneling and some panels on the back section here. That is good. And you have the back part of the vehicle. Now there is some molded detail, but there's nothing picked out like tail lights or anything, but you could paint some on there if you're so inclined. And coming to the other side, it's going to be pretty much the same, but up here you have another cab with some purple windows picked out, and you can see the back of Devastator's head right there. That is cool. And yeah, I like it. This is a pretty cool and neat crane. And as for functionality, he rolls really well, and he does have a movable crane arm, so this will come up, and that is really cool. It goes up a long way. Wow, look how tall that is. And then we'll scroll out just a little bit so we can see it, and then it will go back down. It extends a little bit, and then you have this moving hook down here to actually clip something onto and move it around if you're so inclined. And the crane arm itself does move around 360 degrees, so that is really cool. A lot of good functionality and playability with this toy. Alright, and that is what your Hook is going to look like and do. Alright, moving on. And for comparison, here you have Hook with the other 2 Constructicons that we've already reviewed, Scrapper and Bone Crusher, and this is half of the team right here. We are halfway there, ladies and gentlemen, and they look really good together. I love the green and purple motif that go throughout, and the only thing is I wish Scrapper had a Decepticon symbol somewhere on his vehicle mode. Like you got here one for Bone Crusher and you got one for Hook, but Scrapper still doesn't have his allegiance showing in his vehicle mode, and that is depressing. But anyway, that is going to be your Studio Series Constructicons so far. And for comparison with the Decepticons in their vehicle modes, here Hook is with the Netflix Megatron tank, and this is really nice. Netflix Megatron tank, very much taller than Hook and longer too. I guess that is what you get if you're the leader, so that is nice. And then here he is with a fellow combiner breakdown, and they are equivalent in length, so that is nice. Hook obviously a little taller than breakdown here in vehicle mode. You wouldn't expect anything less. And then here's the strange comparison between Hook and Starscream, and yeah, it's okay, not really. You're not really going to compare a crane to a fighter jet, but here it is. You know, they're going to be doing 2 different things, but they're still movable vehicles, which is why I don't have Soundwave out here, because that just wouldn't make any sense at all. But anyway, that is going to be your comparisons with the Decepticons. And for comparison with the Autobots, here Hook is with Optimus Prime, and Prime does appear to be taller than Hook, and I don't know if that's accurate, because I think a crane truck would be taller than a semi-truck, but there is advantages to being the leader, I guess. Put Prime back, bring out Grapple, and this is a good little comparison I've been wanting to see. Measure them up, and it does appear that Grapple is going to be longer than a Hook, and when it comes to their cranes, let's see, we'll extend Hook's crane out, and this actually might be slightly longer than Grapple's. Yeah, I think it is. And the hook comes down a little longer than Grapple's. So, doesn't really matter. You know, size, they both do the same thing. And, Grapple's better. Alright, and let's bring out Hoist. And Hoist is, I think, a little big for a utility truck to be bigger than a construction vehicle. But, again, your scale is all over the place when it comes to toys and the G1 cartoon. And finally, we have Little Bumblebee. And this is actually a pretty good scale. I think Bumblebee might actually be a little bigger than he should be. Maybe he should be smaller, but it's alright. Alright, and that is going to be your comparisons with the Autobots. And finally, for comparison, here you have the Studio Series hook with the Combiner Wars hook. And you can see they are relatively the same design, with the Studio Series hook being bigger, obviously. But I do like the new designs and the new molding of the Studio Series a little better than the Combiner Wars, because, I don't know, this just looks more like a real vehicle with the different moldings up here on the front and the headlights. I don't know, it's a preference thing. They pretty much have the same, again, design, and it's gonna be what you like. And this is new, and I like the more functionality of the hook section because it extends and the hook moves, whereas this doesn't do anything. It just sits there. It's all staticky. So yeah, functionality and play wise, I really do think the Studio Series is the better choice here, even though Combiner Wars is huge. Alright, and that is going to be your comparisons. Moving on. And full transformation. Now, please understand I don't always go by how the instructions say, but by the end of the segment, we get to where we need to be. Alright, so the first thing I like to do is detach the hands from these little gray section here. So just pull those out, and you can push them up if you're so inclined, just to get them out of the way. And then we are going to bring these feet section down. They will pop out of there like such. And then come around to the back, and then we are going to unhook this light gray section from the painted gray, and that will be what that looks like on both sides. That is really neat. So now what we will do is split the leg like such, and it's not going to flip down as much as it's going to accordion itself out and come down the leg to connect with the bottom of the foot. And then that will automatically almost wrap itself around the bottom of the cab section. So that is really neat. Yep, that's the hook section, don't worry, that will fall off. Alright, and do that on the other side. So coming around to the back so you can see it come down. It will just fold down really nicely down the leg and then connect almost effortlessly into the foot. That is really cool. Alright. So the next thing we need to do is actually raise the camera so we can see what we're doing. All right, scroll out a little bit. So now what we need to do is to work on these arms. So come to the back, pull this back section with the little tabs up here back a little bit, and you'll hear it kind of pop out like that. And then that will release the arms so we can pull them from the side like such, and then orientate them properly. Then again, so pull that down, and then once the arms are out, go ahead and lower this backpack section down over his shoulders. And that is neat, but it will be a pain later in articulation, so well, just know that. Alright, and let's go ahead and put Hook's hook back on, and basically that is Hook in his robot mode. It is a very simple transform, not a lot of steps, but then again, he's a very simple transformer. And let me get him all straightened out, and we'll come back and take a look at him. And come in real close on Hook's head sculpt. Now this is a pretty good Hook head sculpt. You got your standard black helmet type thing like a lot of the Constructicons have. beautiful red visor and a nice silver face. And that's pretty much what the head sculpt is going to be. So let's zoom out so we can see his upper body. And basically on the upper body there isn't a lot of detail picked out in any type of paint. You basically just got a purple plastic chest. There is some detail molded into the plastic, and that is good. And then you have a Decepticon symbol right here. I don't know if they could make it any smaller. And then you just have some green arms, and you got some wheels attached to the side. That is nice. Zooming out some more to see his midsection. It is just, again, purple. You do got some molded detail in here, and then this midsection here, coming down to some gray legs. And finally, you do get a little more paint with the silver panels on his feet that make up his lower legs, and that is nice. So got a good silver there, and then you got some gray toes, and that's pretty much it for this guy. Not a lot of paint detail, but you make up for it in the plastic, and at least the colors are what they're supposed to be, so I don't mind that. Turn around to the side and on the back, and that is pretty much it for this guy. The bottom, nothing really much there, so yeah, it's pretty nice, kind of sparse, but it is Hook. Alright, moving on. And for articulation, now Hook has some strange articulation. He has it, but to get to it, you have to move some things around sometime. So starting with the head can move around 360 degrees, provided that it doesn't get stuck between these tabs. And then he has a lot of good shoulder articulation, but to get to it, you'll have to lift up this panel, and then you can see how it can come up from the body a long way, and it can come back down, and it can go around 360 degrees. And then you can come down to an actual bicep rotation, 360 degrees there, coming down to a nice elbow bend, which is more than 90 degrees. I like that. And that will bring you down to the hand, which is hinged. It can go in and out due to transformation, but that's all it can do. Coming to the center of the body, there isn't really anything in the center of the body. It is basically a solid piece, unless you want to kind of break him into like his kind of combine mode by lifting up his midsection, and then that will let you have some tilt in his waist left and right. So that is pretty neat, but go too far and you break your sculpt. So that is kind of a give and take there. All right, coming down to the legs. Legs can go up a long way. They can go back a long way till you get to this kibble on the back, which is still a long way. And then you got a good side kick there. So that is good. Mostly the legs are unhindered by anything. And then you have a nice thigh rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming it down to a knee bend. Not the greatest knee bend, but you have something there, so that is okay. And that will bring you down to the foot, and the foot can move up a little bit and then back down, and then it can rock to the inside, as you can see there. And you can also articulate that he has a heel spur that can rock up and down as well. So yeah, so like I said, a lot of good articulation in Hook. It is kind of strange, and to get to it you have to move some things around, but it's there, I suppose. All right, and that is Hook's articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, Hook comes with a nice laser blaster. It's done in a black molded plastic, and you do have a nice little scope up here and a mag here coming out, and then you got your barrel there, and this is really neat, and you can bring him out. It will just fold right into his hand. We can zoom out and we can see him ready to shoot some Autobots. So that is good. Love the weapons. I continue to say that I'm glad they gave the Studio Series weapons, whereas they didn't give it to the Combiner Wars. Hasbro didn't anyway, and that is pretty cool. All right, and that is Hook's laser blaster, and the only accessory he comes with. So we will be moving on. And for comparison with the previous two Constructicons we've looked at in this series, here you have Scrapper and Bone Crusher with Hook, and they look great and very G1 accurate, like they just stepped out of the cartoon or the 86 movie, as it were. And I can't wait to get the rest of these guys out here. And yes, this team is shaping up very, very nicely. And for comparison, here you have Hook with the Netflix Megatron, the Earthrise Starscream, the Legacy Breakdown, and the Netflix Soundwave. And this is a great group of Decepticons. I especially like seeing the combiner bots together, and am super happy of all of the cool bots in the different lines that Hasbro has given us over the years. I think this looks great. And for comparison with your Autobots, here you have Hook with the Dramatic Capture Series Optimus Prime, the Earthrise Grapple, the Earthrise Hoist, and the Studio Series Bumblebee. A lot of awesome Transformers here, and it does remind me of the episode Master Builders, where the Constructicons teamed up with Grapple and Hoist to create a power tower, but that didn't end too well, but it was a great episode nonetheless, and I'm glad that we got some figures to reenact scenes if we would like to. And for comparison, here you have the Studio Series Hook with the Combiners Wars Hook. And like we've seen in the last two comparisons with the Combiner Wars, the Hook is really huge. But the sculpt and the mold are very similar. I mean, that head sculpt is pretty much the same. You got a lot of the similar details, even coming down to the neck and then the chest. The paint apps on the Combiner Wars is a little better than on the Studio Series, because you got the nice black and some gold and some red, some silver and some more red down here. And here you just got the plain purple with the Decepticon symbol. The differences in the sculpt and mold are here in the forearms. It's a little cleaner here on the Studio Series than it is on the Combiner Wars. And you have the thigh cut, whereas the Combiner Wars was just a solid straight leg, and the bottom legs are pretty much the same. It's just different types of molding on the paneling, so that is pretty neat. Coming to the sides, coming to the back, he still has this huge crane on his back which will kind of support him if he tries to fall down. So yeah, that is pretty neat, and that is going to be your comparisons. Moving on. And coming back to crane mode, there is just one more piece of transformation that we have to take care of before we go. And that is to get Hook into his combine mode. And to do that, what I like to start off with is by taking the back part of the crane and lifting it up very, very subtly. And then that will slide to the right and become flush with this side. So that is really cool. Go ahead and lift the crane arm up, and then what we'll want to do with that is bring the crane hook out just a tad so that the hook will fit and be able to hook under this first green part right there. Don't know if that's very important, but that's how they want us to do it. Okay, so come to the side, pull the forearms down, and fold the hands in like such on both sides. Okay, and from here, go ahead and take these feet and untab them. And while you're down here, go ahead and pull this tab out from Hook's chest. That will be a combiner port. And from here, take Devastator's head and bring it up, but not too far. That's good enough. And then we will extend the front and the back of the crane section by pulling it apart. And it will come apart on these two double hinges, and that is really nice. And once we get here, go ahead and fold your forearm on this side back up and back into place. And coming around to the back, or this side, you will see that there is a tab here and a port here, and we will connect those two together. That will connect really nicely, and then we will come around to the bottom, fold these feet up into place, And come to the side here. Pull the crane back around. Make sure that's done. There is a combiner port here that will need to be coming out and tab into place. That is good. On the other side, also there is a port. So lift up this secret compartment and then you can see that there is a port that could just twist around and then put that back down. All right. And now, one of the last things we need to do is bring Devastator's head down. So you have your port sections in here, and you have a tab here, and that will just fall into place. So just work it around until you get it where it needs to go. And it will eventually sit. Once you do that, turn Devastator's head around. And you can see it's kind of a sunken head, so that's really weird. So go ahead and pull out the forehead section, and that will come up a little ways, and then that will help you pull the chin up, and then push it down with the chin on the outside of the bottom part of the head. And there you have Devastator. Very nice head sculpt. That is so cool. Alright, so now you got a tab here, and a tab down here, and your head up. So that is going to be Hook's combine mode. He is the head, and that is really, really cool. Alright, moving on. And this has been the Transformers Studio Series Constructicon Hook from the Deluxe 2-pack with Long Haul. And I think that Hook was a good Transformer, but he did have some issues. So first off, Hook looks like Hook. You can't deny that he looks like he came from the G1 cartoon or the 86 movie. He does have a good coloring to him. Not a lot of paint apps, just maybe his face and his lower legs, but the green, purple, and gray plastics are the colors that they need to be and where they're supposed to be. So it doesn't look that bad without actual paint apps. He does have some good articulation when you can actually get to it. His personal blaster accessory is great. Love that. Wish the Combiner Wars had it, but they didn't. And the transform is really, really easy. It's just a small step up from just putting him down on the ground and him being a crane. But like I said before, if the transform is fun and easy, it's a lot more enjoyable to play with. And his crane mode is pretty good as well. I do like the updated version of it compared to the Combiner Wars. I like that the crane arm is usable and the molded detail in the vehicle. So that's it. That is going to be Hook. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at the Transformers Studio Series Constructicon Hook. If you are looking for Hook, you can find him on the shelves right now in this big, huge 2-pack with Long Haul, and he will run about $90 to $100 depending on where you pick him up. So if you're looking, happy hunting. And that's going to be the end of part 3 of our 7-part series. Come back next time where we'll be halfway through and be taking a look at the massive Long Haul. Until then, guys, have a great night. And until next time, keep playing.
Constructicons unite!